Hello everybody, so I'm Andrew Wetherall. I lead on woodlands and forestry policy for the RSPB, that's a UK-wide role. Like Jack, I used to be at the National School of Forestry where I was a forestry lecturer. Some of you might know that as Newton Rigg. And I studied forestry. I even did my PhD on nutrient cycling in a tree species called Sitka spruce. So I'm a forester who's become a woodland ecologist over time. My first question on here says, why does caring for trees matter? And I think we've already heard some conversations to suggest that. The National Ecosystem Assessment in 2012 suggested that woodlands were the ecosystem that delivered more ecosystem services than any other. I looked for a quote this morning that was about you can judge a society by how it cares for its trees, but I couldn't find it. So if anybody knows who that's by, please let me know. But, well, I've actually come up with my own because I couldn't find it. So for me, why does caring for trees matter? A tree is a hug waiting to happen, and we all need hugs. And the birch trees are just going to have to wait 20 years before they're huggable, I think. Next question was about trees, woodlands and expansion of tree cover across the UK. I think we need all kinds of trees. We need nature's recovery, we need trees for people, for health and well-being. We do also, especially in England, I think, need timber as well. For the RSPB, that's about reducing our offshoring. So we're worried about environmental standards in other countries. England is about 95% dependent on imports, some of which come from Scotland and Wales, but that's untenable. When we talk about food security, we should be talking about wood security as well. However, we don't want trees on peat bogs, certainly not commercial forestry. But I think it's interesting, when I was first told by Reuben and Harriet about this, my instinct was, are we sure we should be taking the trees off the bog? Because birch is a native species. So in the context of what's going on, it's correct. But bog woodlands are an underappreciated habitat that have carbon in the trees and in the bog. And with climate change, some of that shading may be important as well. So I think the interaction between trees and bogs, peat edge woodlands is really important as well. Next question, what's needed to overcome the obstacles to reaching national targets? I'd argue that we need a full recognition of the value of trees, so a triad forestry approach, which means recognising that some woodlands are best for nature's recovery, some are best for timber production, and then there's a lot in the middle that is multi-objective forestry, and we need a grown-up conversation about that. We can't say that all trees deliver everything. But from a nature's recovery point of view, tree targets for tree cover expansion are meaningless. We are in a nature crisis. It's existing woodland management that is going to protect the woodland biodiversity that is rapidly declining now. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Final question. What does getting it right look like? Rob mentioned the right trees in the right place. Sorry, Rob, but I hate that phrase. It's become meaningless over time. But you'll like what I prefer, which is right place first. And you could say right place collective first, if you like. So making the decision at the point of what is this land best for. So if it's high conservation value, carbon value, community value, or highly productive farmland, there's probably better places for trees. We can integrate trees through things like agroforestry, but land use change should take place in those other places. After that, it's about government incentives matching the kind of tree cover types that you want, and diversity is important for resilience, with government objectives, and then it gets easy because there's this brilliant thing called the ecological site classification brought out by Forest Research that is a tool to help experts, chartered foresters like me, to tell you with local experience of what trees are growing naturally there, which trees to plant.